And continuing from here, I'm going to head up a long ladder next to this waterfall and back up into the Darkroot Garden, where I will make my way to ultimately fight Sif, the Great Grey Wolf. Here is this long ladder. It takes about half of an eternity to climb up. Sort of see the whole area back down below, maybe. And this path actually branches, coming up here. We're going to cross this bridge and then climb another ladder. If you're up for a challenge, you can go back across the bridge above me. I'll be there momentarily. I'm going to come grab this soul item. Okay, now head up the ladder. But yeah, this wooden structure is stone structure is a bridge that leads across to another area of the Darkroot Garden that has some aggressive feline type enemies. Just have no reason to go over there whatsoever, so we'll go this way. But if you're up for a challenge, feel free to explore over there. This is going to take us into the area that is beyond the door that could be opened with the Crest of Artorias that Andre sells for 20,000 souls. In this area there are a bunch of enemies. Many of them are like almost invisible. They are members of the Forest Hunter Covenant, but they're all NPCs. You can see a whole bunch of them here try to attack me as I run through the area. And I will lead them ultimately into this stone structure, and I'm going to kind of run past the NPC here, this giant cat. She's going to eventually, when I talk to her momentarily, invite us to the Covenant. That's how we'll discover the Forest Hunter Covenant. I just like to get onto this bridge where these guys are sort of, sort of funneled into a straight line. So I'll kill the few NPCs there that have chased me. Shouldn't be any more that have come this far. And then I'll come talk to Alvina. I'll be sure to answer yes to her questions. And then I'll get the Join Covenant. So right here, the achievement for discovering the Forest Hunter Covenant should pop. For our intents and purposes, we have no need to join the Covenant. You'll receive a ring that'll allow you to be summoned to this area to basically try to defeat people who are playing through the area. And I'm not interested in that, so I have nothing to gain from it, so I will not join. What I will do is continue along and out through this last leg of the forest. Over here to the right, I'll point out there are a couple of big mushroom men and a little body of water, and there's a chest in the middle. That chest contains the Enchanted Ember, which is required to upgrade weapons on the Enchanted path, and you would need to get a weapon to Enchanted +5 for an achievement. I'm going to do that with the Enchanted Ember, which already has the enchanted property, so I don't need that Ember. But if you actually had any interest in upgrading any other weapons to the Enchanted path, you would need it. So we'll just continue along, and then across this bridge, you'll see a door at the end with some light coming through it. This is the area where we'll fight Sif. So you need to interact with this door to open it. And then as you come in here, at the far end of this big open area is the grave of Artorias, and that's his greatsword in front of the grave. As I approach it, it'll trigger a cinematic where Sif comes out, and then the battle will begin. Sif likes to jump around and kind of swing that sword in big arcs. What I try to do is just roll a little more efficiently than that and try to stay under her. It's pretty safe if you're underneath. We do pretty considerable damage to her. I'm going to heal now. I was a little slow on that one. And was a little careless on that one. So I'm going to try to heal again. This is one of the bosses that I feel bad for killing. Having a bit of a difficulty getting into position to deal some damage. Rolled way too soon there. That should be it. Alright, so that's it. Sif is dead. I will of course equip the Symbol of Avarice for the extra souls. I received the Covenant of Artorias for defeating Sif. That's a ring that will allow me to enter the Abyss to fight the Four Kings. The associated achievement should unlock right now. Behind the tombstone, you can find the Hornet Ring, which increases backstab damage or all critical damage. So with that being done, I will homeward bone back. And now I'm ready to go down and push towards the Four Kings in the new Londo Ruins. It's important to do the Four Kings, again, before any of the other three main bosses, which those three can't be accessed until you place the Lord Vessel. We are unable to place the Lord Vessel because I cannot talk to Frampt, or it'll ruin my chances at joining the Darkwraith Covenant. So I'm going to head down to New Londo Ruins. And remember, I'm saving my souls to buy pyromancies from Quailana down in Blighttown. I need, I think, 85,000 souls to buy up all her pyromancies. I mean, I guess there's no real rush to do it, but I'm going to go down and right past her to get to the Great Hollow to get some other achievement-related stuff taken care of. So I'd just like to have enough souls when I'm down there to buy out her spells. As we head into New Londo, we're going to need transient curses, which I just went to equip, but I don't think yeah, I've picked them up already. So I'll go ahead and equip them. Should have at least one left. One should be all I need because I'll find a couple of more, and 3 will be absolutely plenty for my purposes to get past what I need to get past. I certainly could equip the Gold Serpent Ring in the hopes that the ghosts would drop some. If you get into a position where you don't have any transient curses, the female merchant down on the way from Firelink Shrine down to where the Capra Demon is in that little sewery tunnel, she sells them. I think it lasts for 5 minutes. It gives an aura exactly like the aura that you get when you have increased stamina regeneration, in my case from the Grasscrest Shield, so you can't really tell via any sort of physical indication when the transient curse is worn off, other than you stop being able to damage ghosts. One way you can tell is if your transient curse, which I don't have in my quick use section there, is grayed out. That means it's still active. This next room has a bunch of ghosts. I'm going to charge in and kill this first one at the end. Then I'm going to turn around and kill the few that are behind me. With any luck, I won't take much damage, if any at all. Alright, so that was easy enough. Now I'll head down this spiral staircase into another room. At the end of this little area right here, you see an item. It's a parrying dagger. I don't really need it. There's a ghost in the wall right there. Let's see if I can get my aim. And I can't. Oh, this ghost is coming from behind me now. Looks like he dropped some transient curses. Yep, so we're good in that regard. So yeah, be careful if you're going to take an unnecessary risk to get that parrying dagger. There's a ghost, I guess, that comes from right here. Don't let him get you from behind. Another ghost is going to pop out right here. That one's easy to deal with. And then follow around. There'll be another ghost at the edge, at the end, I mean. And a couple more transient curses on a corpse. Here we'll go through this fog door to access the next part of the area. There's steps leading up. Be careful not to walk off either side. You will die. And kick down a shortcut ladder here. If you need to come back now, you could drop off and avoid going into those two rooms with all the ghosts. There's another ghost above here that I'm going to try to get to come down and attack me once I come over to this soul item. Once he starts descending, I'll be able to hit him with an overhead slash with my Halberd. There are a couple of other ghosts below that I want to try to get to come up to my level so I can kill them. Ultimately, I'm going to go into this next building and try to draw out a whole bunch of ghosts, because fighting them in the building can be really dangerous. But I don't want these ghosts behind me here to be a problem. So I'm going to try to kill however many there may be. I feel like there's two, but if the second one isn't being hostile at all, there it is down there. I see it below. I'm not sure if it's going to come up or not. It really shouldn't be an issue, but I just don't want to get into a position where it comes up to engage. Oh, here it is coming up. Nope, it went back down. I'll try to come out here and see if I can lure it up. Nope, it's not going to bother me, I don't think. So, anyway, I'm ready to push on into this next room. Now, basically, there's a small room with a hallway that could go to the left or straight ahead. That leads into... Ooh, the ghost coming from behind me. That leads into a room where there are a bunch of ghosts in addition to these two that come from outside. And you see I have aggroed a couple from inside the building. And I'm going to try to lead them up these stairs, which isn't the best. There's that ghost that was behind me. Thankfully, I got him. This isn't the ideal position to engage enemies, but it's better than being stuck in that room, so that's why I try to lead them out here just for safety. I'm actually going to run in a little further and then run out and see if they'll follow me. It's very easy to get just totally overwhelmed by ghosts in there. That's why I prefer to try to kite some of them out to here. Just want to be careful not to fall off while you're attacking. Or roll off, which would be easy to do. So these two ghosts that were outside kind of came up and looks like they ran away. So I think now I've killed enough that I can come in here, see if any more spawn in this room. Yep, there's one. And then there's several more going to spawn in the next room, one of which is just sort of there to begin with. There's several more coming already. On the first playthrough, it's really not too bad that the ghosts don't do too much damage, but in subsequent playthroughs, this is a very dangerous area. So now that everything that's been aggroed to this point seems to have been dealt with, I'm ready to go into the next room. I'm going to start by charging and killing this first ghost. Another one comes out right next to it. I can't... Oh, my transient curse is worn off, maybe? I gotta get out of here. So you see, that was kind of careless. It seems like it did because I couldn't deal any damage to that ghost that was, yeah, just standing there. So there we go. Whoa. This one has some magic attacks that he's doing relentlessly. Wow. That's pretty crazy. So in any event, I'm reorganized and ready to go. So these ghosts are still out here. There's one above me somewhere, or off in the distance, and he's dead as well. That could have been bad. So now I feel like there's going to be at least one more ghost that's going to attack me when I climb up this ladder, which maybe or maybe not. This is going to lead me to the roof of this building, where I can meet Ingward, who will give me the key to the seal. That will allow me to drain out the water and get to the lower part of this area. And while I'm here, I absolutely need to purchase the one spell that he sells, as that's the only way to get resist cursed sorcery, so I'll buy that from him. Now I'm ready to push on. I'll go ahead and slide down this ladder to the bottom. I'll hang out here for a minute and see if this ghost comes after me. I don't know if that was the same one, but it probably was. So now I'm ready to move on. I'm going to go around the back part of this room, through a hallway. There may be another ghost here in front of me. And then there's going to be a soul item around the corner before I fall to a path below. More ghosts. What I'm going to do now is drop down here, and I'm going to run around in the lower level to an outside area to get the curse bite ring. This ring gives 200 or 300 curse resistance. Very helpful in the battle against Seath, so that's good to have. I don't really feel like dealing with any more of these ghosts, so I'm just going to run back. And out here, I could drop down here and grab this green Titanite shard. I'm going to need, I think, 10 of those ultimately in order to get the Fire and Chaos upgrade achievements. I have to build a fire weapon from scratch, since there isn't one to be found like there is for the Occult, which coincides with Divine, and the Enchanted Falchion, which coincides with magic upgrades. So I'll open this locked door with the key to the seal that Ingward gave me, and then I'll interact with this lever to drain the water, and that'll, like I said, allow me to access the lower part of the new Londo Ruins. Then I'll be able to drop down and engage the four kings. I do have a couple of orders of business before I engage the boss, which I could basically drop down to and get right to straight away. You can see there's a door open that leads out to the Valley of Drakes. Across that bridge, it's kind of hard to see from here, but there's a few of those Drake enemies and then a bridge. And you can see straight across there's like an arch that leads. That's where I ran when I first started my character to get and take a lift up to the Darkroot Basin and kill the Black Knight that dropped the Halberd. The standard progression plan for here is to pull this lever and raise the lift and then take that down and kind of fight your way through, ultimately to right down here. There's a big fall, but this skips a bunch of unnecessary, not really a bunch, but this skips some unnecessary progression. You can see the fog door that leads to the Four Kings just beyond. This could summon Beatrice. She is worthless against the Four Kings. You're much better off by yourself. Here we're going to encounter Darkwraith enemies. These enemies are extremely aggressive. They're capable of dishing out a lot of damage. One hit with the Black Knight Halberd does not stagger them, so just be aware that they'll fight right through your first hit. I think your second hit will stagger them. I need to backtrack a little bit before I engage the boss to take care of a couple of things. I'm going to kite out this Darkwraith before I deal with the big enemy that's in the room behind him. This thing is annoying. It's capable of, sticking out that thing very far, dealing some big damage. So I'm just going to kind of whack it a couple times and back up. I don't know why I drank, but I did on accident. It also spawns those skulls that explode for damage. And then I've triggered another Darkwraith, and like I said, he was unfazed by my hit other than taking some damage, so he was able to attack me right through it. In here now, we head this way. There's a chest in here with, I think, a Titanite chunk. Ultimately, we need 7 of those plain Titanite chunks, so I need 3 more in order to have enough materials to get the upgrade achievements for Crystal, Lightning, and Standard. Backtracking a little bit, there's going to be another Darkwraith out here. Here he comes. Just use your range to totally outplay those enemies. Down here to the left, this is an illusory wall. It leads to a bridge across to another Darkwraith enemy, and there's a chest with another Titanite chunk that I want, so I'll bait this guy out. I use my range to easily defeat him. Carefully walk across this bridge without falling. You will die. Only going to need 2 more Titanite chunks now for those achievements. Those should come ideally in the course of progression here. I'll pick up this soul item, and then I'll make my way back into another large room. It's got another one of those giant slime enemies and a couple of Darkwraiths, the first one of which is to the right, so I'll aggro and pull him back a little bit. Here is the slime enemy that I mentioned. These guys are dangerous kind of from the front, but pretty weak from the sides. 4 shots and he's dead. He did spawn off one of those skull things that I'll try to trigger and then back off. You see a fog door here that we're not even going to go through. That is, had I gone the normal way down the lift, I'd eventually fought my way through some Darkwraiths and eventually get to that fog door. There's 2 more Darkwraiths, one on the left right here, and then one a little bit further up on the right. I don't know that I can hit him through the wall. I guess I can. It's going to be the safest way to do it. And now I will engage the other one on the right. And what I want to do over here is pick up this humanity. This is a lift that will lead you back up to essentially the first room where I encountered several ghosts. Just no reason to even bother with that. And then here there's a stairway up to the 2nd level of this big area. We need to come up here and not run off like a dummy. There's an important item up here actually on the 3rd level. So there's a soul item that I'll grab first. And then we'll follow this path all the way around and eventually up some stairs. Turn around at the top and follow it to the edge with a chest that contains the very large ember. We're going to need that in order to upgrade a weapon to plus 15 for the strongest weapon achievement. I'm just going to drop off right here, take a little bit of fall damage, and I'll top off my health, and now we're ready to engage the 4 kings. I will point out quickly, it might be hard to see from below here, but should you need to get back here quickly, there's a shortcut in the early part of New Londo Ruins. Basically, when you cross the 2 bridges, you get to the first area with 2 ghosts, and then there's some steps that lead up to that little higher ledge up there. So before you even go from that first larger bottom area with some water and some ghosts, you can drop off to here. And that'll, if you need to run back to the 4 kings quickly, all you would need to do is run past. You don't even necessarily have to engage the first Darkwraith here. And you can run up these steps. There's a couple more in here that you could just run past. And you would need to be careful because the ghosts will be back as well. And then you could turn left here and then quickly run across this bridge and go through the fog door. So yeah, if you need to get back here quickly, that's the best way to do it. You would have to run all the way from Firelink Shrine and drop down and run past everything. Once you're in here and you run down a little bit, enemies can't bother you. So even if there's a bunch chasing you, it wouldn't matter. Before we engage the 4 kings, you absolutely must equip the Covenant of Artorias, or you will die when you fall down into the abyss. I want to see if I can get my equip load under 25%. I would need 68 on my equip load, which means I would need to level up my endurance to 17. So since I can't, now I can only get under 50%, which is what, 33 or so, 33.6. So I might as well equip my armor. I don't have if I had a Mask of the Child or a Mask of the Mother, I absolutely would equip it. So I'm going to be at medium roll and medium run now, which it shouldn't be that big of a deal. So now what I can do is I could either run all the way down and drop off, or if you carefully drop off one of these ledges without too much forward momentum, you'll fall directly down. A quick primer on the Four Kings. Essentially, it's enemies that spawn one at a time. Ideally, you'll kill each one before the next one spawns, because engaging more than one at a time is very difficult. They individually take damage, and when their the boss has its own health bar, and I mean, I guess in a perfect world, you would engage or kill just 4, and that would be sufficient. But it's not always the case. If you don't do enough damage to each one individually, a 5th one could spawn. And so what you want to do is, after you kill any one of them and they're in their death animation, keep attacking it, because you can continue to do damage to it, and ultimately continue to do damage to the boss's main health bar. So with that said, we'll go ahead and drop in, and then I'll begin the engagement. Now I'm not sure where the first one is going to spawn from, so I will look around and kind of wait. And then what I want to do is I want to close the gap immediately and get right on it. Now it's possible that he may start with a magic attack. If he does, I'm just going to block it, but no, he's going to do a melee attack, a double melee attack that I rolled through. I might have gotten greedy there going for 2 attacks, but no, it's okay. I do a ton of damage to these guys, so damage shouldn't be an issue. That was careless getting stuck by that. So the damage that's going to do isn't that big of a deal. What's a big deal is that it stole a humanity, not really, but that it took a lot of time. And again, we're on a clock here to kill these guys before the next one spawns. So I've killed him, and look at this, I'm continuing to do damage. I was able to do essentially 2 more hits of damage to that guy. Here comes the next one. I'll roll through his attacks and close the gap. And I'll continue to attack. I was too early on that roll, and I took some damage. He's going to be dead. I'm going to try to be able to get a couple of hits on him. There we go. Extra hits are always good. Now I'm way ahead of things here. The 3rd king hasn't even spawned yet. Here he is. If he does his magic attack, I'm just going to block it with my shield and take the damage, which is what he's going to do, it looks like. Nope, he's coming in for melee attack, so I'll roll through it. You just want to make sure before you attack that he's not following up with a 2nd attack when he does that horizontal slash. Get away from this. This is an area of effect explosion. I would have preferred to have faster roll for that, but what can you do? I may be able to kill this 4 kings on 3 kings. Yes, I did. So that was great. I only had to engage 3 kings there because I did enough extra damage after the individual king's health bar was reduced. So now I'll get that brief cutscene. I will equip the Symbol of Avarice for the extra souls. I could now unequip the Covenant of Artorias. I'll put the Havel's Ring back on so I have fast run and roll. And now here we see a bonfire, and there is Darkstalker Kath. Now I'm going to talk to him first, and it's very important. He has about 10 or 15 dialogues that you can go through. You absolutely have to say yes to him here in order to join the Darkwraith Covenant. So don't go too fast. So now that I say yes, he will now take me to the Firelink altar to place the Lord Vessel. Again, the only way to join the Darkwraith Covenant is to get the Lord Vessel, to not interact with Frampt in Firelink Shrine, to kill the 4 kings, talk to Kath, and tell him yes. So he will now bring me to the Firelink altar. I will run up and place the Lord Vessel. That'll trigger another cutscene, and that'll cause 3 barriers to be removed that will allow me to access other parts of the game. And ultimately I need to get the souls from the 3 bosses at the end of each of those areas, in addition to the souls from the 4 kings, to put into that Lord Vessel to open the door to the final area and the final boss, Gwyn. So that's in the Tomb of the Giants. That leads to Gravelord Nito. That's in the between Anor Londo and the Duke's Archives to eventually get to Seath the Scaleless. That's in the Demon Ruins to ultimately lead to the Bed of Chaos. Once that is done, I want to come back to Kath and talk to him, and he will take me back to the Abyss. And now I have fulfilled all of the requirements to discover the Darkwraith Covenant. So Kath will invite me. This will trigger the achievement for discovering that covenant. I am also going to join to get the Dark Hand and... let's see, do I get anything else? No. The Dark Hand is a weapon that can be equipped to suck humanity from some NPCs. We'll probably use that later. We're going to need 30 humanity to open a shortcut through the Daughter of Chaos Covenant that leads us to Lost Izalith and is part of saving Solaire in his questline. I really have nothing else to do here, so I can go ahead over to the bonfire and rest. And from here I'll warp to Firelink Shrine. And my next plan of attack is to head down into Blighttown, buy all the needed pyromancies from Quailana, and then I'm going to head down through the Great Hollow down to Ash Lake, which is not a lot of fun, but is required for achievement purposes.